Let's talk a little Ohio State recruiting because the Buckeyes are back in Columbus this weekend. Minnesota comes to town. It's a 6:30 p.m. Central kick, which means there's plenty of time for recruits to get to town. We're going to go behind the scenes of this big weekend with Jeremy Berm of Letterman Row. It's also Jeremy Birmingham's birthday. So happy birthday to him, or happy Berm Day for all that celebrate. Let's bring him in right now. Doing a little double work today, overtime. It's your birthday, and you're going to drop some inside intel here. Jeremy, let's start not with the visitors, but number one defensive lineman in the 2027 class, Jaylen Brewster. He is set to announce his commitment this Saturday, and predictions have favored Texas Tech. But as we get closer, there's some buzz going around about Ohio State. How do you feel about the Buckeyes' chances?
It's funny, Josh. I mean, Ohio State's always believed that they were very much in the race for Jaylen Brewster. His father's from Cincinnati. His mother's from Indianapolis. He's got a lot of Midwest roots. He camped in Columbus this summer, and the connection was really strong between Ohio State and Brewster and his family. And as you mentioned, when it was announced about, 3 weeks ago that he was going to be making a college decision in early October, his birthday, coincidentally, is tomorrow. And I think that that's one of the reasons why that conversation about a commitment has already begun, because in Texas at the age of 17, you can start collecting your NIL payments as far as I understand. So there's no point in wasting too much time. And in Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon, Texas A&M, obviously a number of schools around the country that are widely regarded as some of the biggest spenders in the NIL space are involved. Jaylen Brewster is a generational type of recruit. You're talking a once every 4, 5, 6 year type of defensive tackle prospect. So it's not a surprise that these teams are willing to get into a pretty heated battle for him. Ohio State is not the freewheeling big spender that everyone likes to believe they are nationally. They prefer to spend that money on the current players on the roster to keep them in town. But when a player like Jaylen Brewster is available, you have to make some concessions. The difference here, we'll find out over the next 48 hours or so. The Buckeyes are not a, here's a blank check, tell us what you need type of program, but they're certainly willing to compete, and the relationships that Larry Johnson has with the family, with Ohio State's national brand, its presence, its national championship contention year after year after year, those things are all very important. But in Texas, and especially the roots that Brewster has at Cedar Hill with Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, it does seem like the Red Raiders are probably still the team to beat right now, but I was told on Tuesday that someone should have an answer out of Brewster by Thursday, and Ohio State's definitely swinging.
Well, wow, yeah, pretty interesting. So, do you think it's worth Ohio State fans to keep an eye on this recruitment through the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll find out probably through some conversation on Thursday and Friday, but the thing is, it's still a year plus for till signing day for Jaylen Brewster. So you should certainly remain interested anyway, just again, because of those Midwest roots, and you never know what happens in college football year to year. But I would, if I was handicapping it today, I would still probably lean towards Texas Tech. But I know that Ohio State has the wherewithal and the ability to surprise some people at times. I think sometimes the Buckeyes would prefer things like that stay quiet so they can sneak up on people, but that's not the case when you're the number one program in the country and the defending national champs.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we will keep an eye on that one. Now let's turn our attention back to Columbus. Some big names expected on campus this weekend. Who are some of the names that you're tracking? Let's talk a little game time. The MLB playoffs are here. My buddy Steve Wiltfong, you guys know him. He does a show on this channel. He is on his way to the Cubs playoff games right now, but tickets are not going to be easy to find, especially when he's got 2 of his kids with him. But getting last-minute tickets can be frustrating when all you want to do is be there for the moment your team throws out that first pitch. Well, thankfully, the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing ticket prices, and it only takes a few simple clicks. The app's easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee, it means that you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, the fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. That's why I use the Game Time app. Super simple, and it makes the experience of buying great tickets a breeze. Also, one of the coolest features I've seen is the Game Time lowest price guarantee. It's where Game Time will credit you 100% of the difference to guarantee you're getting the lowest price if you find cheaper tickets elsewhere. All right, here's what we're going to do. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code INSIDESCOOP. That's promo code INSIDESCOOP for $20 off your first purchase. It's promo code INSIDESCOOP for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
The big ones for Ohio State, really, there are three players that I've already sort of circled. Two of them are official visitors for the weekend, and one of them will be Dre Quinn, who's not taking an official visit. He's an unofficial visitor, the recent Clemson decommitment, defensive end from Georgia. Steve Wiltfong, as soon as Dre decommitted and reopened his recruitment, Steve put in a prediction for Texas. Ohio State has been working on this one for the last month and a half or so prior to the decommitment. There was discussion about him being in town for the Minnesota game. He's going to make that trip. It will be an unofficial visit, as I said. They will have at least two official visitors. I'm hearing that there might be four. Still trying to gather some of those names. I think I've got one of them sorted, but I can't release it yet. But Jacob Curry, a linebacker, former Northwestern commit who visited Oklahoma last week, he'll make his official visit to Columbus this weekend, and so will Kamari Bing, a Maryland commit at safety that the Buckeyes are really high on. He's been committed to Maryland for over a year. He's from St. Francis High School in Baltimore. It's going to be a difficult poll for the Buckeyes, but they are certainly presenting a desirable outcome for safeties and defensive backs around the country, and pitching that idea of, hey, Caleb Downs is not going to be here. You can see what this type of safety does in our defense and what it provides, and you can be the next guy. So after missing out on Braylon Womack 2 months ago, the Buckeyes have went back to the evaluation seats and started to rewatch everyone, and Kamari Bing is one of those guys that stood out to them. He's a three-star prospect, not the highest-ranked guy that you're going to look at, but they really like his traits, and he'll be in town this weekend for his official visit. And those three are the ones I'm really looking at now. Again, trying to get confirmation on two other official visitors, one of which I think Ohio State might be trying to see if they can get Landry Breed on campus again, the North Carolina State commit from Ohio, an offensive lineman. He was in Raleigh last weekend, so he's one that I think they're trying to work on. We'll see if he gets that scheduled or not.
All right. If Ohio State fan sounds like you need to be locked into Letterman Row, there's going to be some more names getting confirmed as we get closer to this one. The Dre Quinn name is really intriguing. Like you said, Steve put in that pick really fast for Texas, and Steve is right 99.9% of the time. I just thought it was a little premature. Now, he did say it was a projection. Like, that's where he thinks when this is all over. But I mean, I think Tennessee's in there. I think after this weekend, I think we're definitely going to be talking about Ohio State with Dre Quinn. So we'll just have to keep watching that one. Are they making him? Of course they're making him a priority, right? He's one of the top available pass rushers in America. Yeah,
and then they only have one defensive end committed. They've still been chipping away at Luke Wafel, the USC commit, and the high dollar target from New Jersey. But this interesting, we just found out this morning that Kari Wilder, Ohio State commitment from California, is expected to be back in town this weekend as well. So it's an opportunity for Kari to spend some time with Dre. And Ohio State is very interested in making sure someone's a culture fit. And when you're talking about a guy at Buford High School in the Atlanta area, coming from, I think he was at Atlanta Christian before that, he's a guy that Ohio State really thinks is going to fall in love with the campus and with the program this weekend. There's been a lot of talk between these two sides for the last year, but he's not been able to get up and visit. And now that he's uncommitted, he made it a priority to do that ASAP. And like I said, I know Texas was the team that was the runner-up when he committed to Clemson originally, and so it makes sense that Steve immediately went that way. But there was pushback from the Ohio State staff as soon as that crystal ball prediction, as soon as that RPM prediction hit, because they were like, "Hey, we're very much in this," and so you're going to see where they can go this weekend.
Yeah, well, Dre Quinn committed to Clemson on this channel, and throughout the summer we dealt with him, his father, his representation. Top of the line. I mean, no issues. They were a pleasure to deal with. They were very appreciative of using the platform. They were great. A very wholesome celebration. He had his little niece, brought her out with a Clemson hat on, and they just did it in his agent's office. It wasn't this big thing. So I definitely think Dre Quinn would be a great culture fit up there in Columbus. So we'll just have to see what happens with that one. That leads me to my next question. What's next for Ohio State recruiting? Is it just 2027 focused, or is there still some needs to fill in 2026?
There's certainly been a transition for Ohio State probably in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's gone back to the trying to wrap up this 26 class and put the 27 class maybe a little bit on the back burner. Some of that is just a byproduct of Ohio State's schedule. They play at home this weekend against Minnesota, but then are not back in Columbus again until November 1st for the Penn State game. So you've got 3.5, 4 weeks to sort some things out. There's been rumblings this week that Corbin Fordham, Ohio State's longtime tight end commitment, may be on the verge of flipping his commitment to Florida State, where he's a legacy. Yeah. If that's the case, it would shed some light on why the Buckeyes hosted Louisville commit Nick Lauder 2 weeks ago when he was in town for the Ohio game. The Buckeyes are still looking to maybe flip Max Sutter, the tight end committed to Alabama, a big-time prospect from Illinois. Obviously, I mentioned Landry Breed. They're interested there. They're swinging for Adam Guthrie, the Clemson commit, hoping that maybe the struggles in Clemson can afford the Buckeyes an opportunity to really expand the conversation with Landry. There's even some discussion about another running back in the class of 2026, which was not the case this summer. Some of that, I think, is just looking ahead. Some of it they've been really impressed with Amari Latimer, a Wisconsin commit down in Georgia, in Tyrone, Georgia. Carlos Locken went and saw him 2 weeks ago and was really impressed by him from what I've heard. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him up for a visit at some point as well. And they've got 21 commits, but if we assume the Corbin Fordham will end up flipping to Florida State, that only puts him at 20. That means there's 5 or 6 spots left.
Yeah.
Kamari Bing, Dre Quinn, Jacob Curry. They're looking for a linebacker, looking for a defensive end, looking for safety, looking for another corner still out there for Danny Odom, the Nebraska commit, shaking swings at Jay Timmons, the Florida State commit, the corner from Pittsburgh. So things have kind of shifted pretty considerably for Ohio State, and the focus went from the 27, 28 classes, which was all of the focus for the Texas game when the Buckeyes had 100 kids in town. The conversation has really shifted back to the 2026 class and trying to figure out how this class wraps up, and then focusing on the biggest fish in 27, guys like Jaylen Brewster.
Yeah, and those spots in 2026, I mean, they got to come from flips because Dre Quinn's uncommitted, but there's very few uncommitted prospects in that top 300. So Ohio State is definitely going to be working some flips down the stretch. So Ohio State fans, talk to Jeremy Birmingham and I. Who is your top flip target? Also, let's get those happy birthdays going in the chat.